wizard.
I'm not a wizard, Hagrid. I'm just Harry.
No, just Harry. You are a wizard.
I'm not a wizard, Hagrid.
Harry, you are a wizard.
Listen here, Hagrid, you fat oaf. I'm not a f***ing wizard.
It's hard to believe it's been an entire year since we stepped into the world of Hogwarts Legacy. This game had such a huge hype train behind it due to the fact that it shares the same setting as the Harry Potter books and movies. It eventually went on to be one of the best-selling games of 2023. Even people who didn't play video games wanted to play this game. The chance to immerse yourself into this fantasy and become a wizard yourself caught the intrigue of pretty much every Harry Potter fan, and that's a lot of people. What interests me though is that despite all of the hype leading up to and during its launch, the game isn't really talked about much anymore. It didn't even get a single nomination at the Game Awards, and it's not really in anyone's top 10 lists. Even though 2023 was such a packed year with such a huge variety of high-quality games that was released, I just found it so weird that no one was really talking about Hogwarts Legacy. So with that being said, I want to do sort of a retrospective on the game, jump back into it and see if it lived up to the hype or not. Now, I really don't have much of a backstory when it comes to Harry Potter. I watched the movies a couple years ago, and while I like them, I just don't have that same connection that I know a lot of fans have. Luckily, I think this lets me look at the game with a more objective lens, without any nostalgia clouding my judgment. Oh, and I'll get to the whole controversy around this game? No, I won't. Fuck that. When I first played this game last year, I was kind of blown away for a couple hours. The excitement of exploring the beautifully detailed halls of Hogwarts and the streets of Hogsmeade was truly palpable, but it was fleeting. After that awe and excitement wore off, I was left with a pretty by-the-books open-world game. An open-world game that makes a lot of safe choices when it comes to exploration. There are different types of activities such as Merlin trials or bandit camps copied and pasted around, and you're given kind of a checklist to complete them. Hooray. In open world games like this, I usually don't do a lot of the copied and pasted side content as, well, it gets kind of stale pretty quick. But this game actively forced me to complete random ass tasks in order to level up to unlock the next main quest. I understand attending classes being a big aspect of the game, sure, that makes a lot of sense, but making me complete what are essentially just fetch quests to progress isn't exactly anyone's idea of fun. I'm not gonna lie either, the story was also completely unengaging. And as I was writing the script, I was kind of wondering to myself, damn, did I even like this game? I think maybe I'm remembering too many negatives, so hopefully after refreshing my memory a bit, my perception of the game can be improved. Fingers crossed, I guess. We'll just have to see. So after hopping back into this game and exploring what the world of Hogwarts has to offer, was I right about this game being mediocre? Well,
I've never been so wrong in all my life.
One step into Hogwarts Legacy and I realized why this game initially drawed me in. This is pretty much as close to a one-to-one representation of what we experienced in the movies as we have ever gotten in any game. The castle is absolutely massive and every nook and cranny is detailed. Every spot from the movies can be visited, which is amazing. Not only is the castle incredibly accurate to the source material, pretty much the entire overworld is. Hogsmeade is beautifully detailed and bustling with life, witchcraft, and wizardry. The Forbidden Forest sets an amazing ambiance. It's dark, ominous. The massive trees surround you as their canopy blocks the sunlight, which just adds to this mystique. Presentation-wise, I think the game knocks it out of the park in terms of accuracy and beauty. The only nitpick I have are the dialogue animations being incredibly stilted and unresponsive, which is pretty common for most RPG games. I can see people enjoying this game for the aesthetic alone. That feeling of being in the Harry Potter universe is pretty much crack for any fans of the series. Where the game falls short, however, is kind of the rest of the game for me. Starting with the gameplay. Even before the game came out, I knew it would be an incredibly difficult task to adapt all the various spells from the movies into the game, while also having each spell feel unique. Most games I've played that include spells and mage builds usually never really appealed to me. In my opinion, they usually focus a lot on mana management, and cycling through different spells gets kind of daunting. Off the top of my head, Skyrim or even Elden Ring comes to mind. It just isn't as much fun to sit back and cast ranged spells as opposed to close-ranged combat. And I think it's due to interactiveness. Casting spells from afar is as easy as just clicking a button and not letting your mana get too low, while close range can require blocking, dodging, or chaining different combos. Knowing when to time your attacks or fall back is kind of lost when you use magic in a lot of RPGs. So a game where combat is hinged on casting spells kind of got me a bit worried. But the developers did a surprisingly good job at the spellcasting here. There's a huge range of spells, most of them deriving from the movies or books, and a lot of them have unique effects and dynamics in each combat encounter. There are 4 different types of spells that you can use in combat. There's the yellow control spells like Arresto Momentum or Levioso.
You're saying it wrong. It's Leviosa.
Which essentially freeze enemies in combat and allow you to get some good hits in. There are purple force spells which let you push, pull, or even slam enemies into the ground. Kind of like you have, well, the Force. The damage spells such as Expelliarmus or Incendiaro, along with, of course, the 3 unforgivable curses. There's Crucio, that causes most enemies to writhe in pain, Imperio, that temporarily forces an enemy to join your side, and of course Avada Kedavra, which kills enemies pretty much instantly. Just a side note, it's pretty weird that you can cast Incendio and pretty much burn enemies to death, but an instant death? Nah, that's just too unethical. There is pretty much no actual consequence to using the unforgivable curses though, and since they're so powerful, of course, you use them without limits. In most games, you can follow the main quest without being gated off or impeded severely. Hogwarts Legacy, though, will have me dick around for an hour trying to level up in order to do another quest in the main storyline. As a result, the pacing is just ridiculously slow for me. The story also kind of falls flat. I think a great way to tell if a story is bad is to see how long you can remember it for. If it was engaging or thought-provoking enough, it would probably stay in your memory for a long time. The lore for Elden Ring pretty much occupies half of my brain capacity to this very day. Well, in contrast, I could not tell you a single character's name in Hogwarts Legacy, and I literally just played that game. It's a very by-the-numbers, predictable story involving a goblin uprising and ancient magic. Honestly, I didn't expect much from the story, so what we got here is pretty much good enough for me. It's just that pacing issue that made the game so grating to play through the main quest. I understand it's an RPG, so the player is expected to complete some side content, but the side content here is mostly just copied and pasted camps, caves, and Merlin trials. And to make it even worse, they don't pay out as much XP as I think they really should, meaning I have to do even more of it just to unlock the next quest. It's so tedious. So yeah, all in all, I think Hogwarts Legacy is a pretty by-the-books open-world game, complete with copy and paste objectives over the map that builds a fake sense of progression, along with some simple yet fun enough combat. And I'm not trying to dog the game here. What we got is pretty much the most faithful representation of Hogwarts in any piece of media, even including the movies. It's just a little disappointing to me that they didn't try to be a little bit more ambitious when it came to the gameplay and the story. Although it's really cool to see that the devs are still updating the game with some new quests coming out later this year. That's pretty much all I have to say, but let me know what you think about Hogwarts Legacy down in the comments. Did you love it? Did you hate it? I would love to know. Anyway, till next time, see ya.